What's up, everybody?
What's up?
You look beautiful. Thank you for being
Another
here.
one time for Arielle.
Woo! Thank you. Well, Chris, that was very kind of you because we were just talking backstage, and I was saying this is your first time here, right?
First time here. Back in Atlanta. What's up, Peppercorn?
We love that. So, what has it been like for you coming back to Covington, and what memories have been coming up for you?
It's crazy because I was on season 1, so I was at the fortunate point of like getting the show right when it was becoming this on the cusp of.
Had it already started airing?
It just started airing, so I came in around episode like 4 or 5, and it all came flooding back, getting to see everybody, this whole cast, Nina, Paul, everyone's here this weekend. Check
Oh,
it
it's
out.
a big deal. Nina's here.
Big deal.
This is the first for both of you.
Great seeing Nina.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. Yeah, we were saying it's like a high school reunion, you know?
100%.
Yeah.
What's weird is that when I started doing the show, I found out that I was having a daughter at the time, and I
Oh
came
my
back.
gosh.
Yeah, I found out I was having a daughter now, and I came back and they decorated the trailers and they put balloons up and they're like, oh, name her Nina and the cat and all this, and my daughter just turned 13. And she's watching the show now, so that shows how long the show's been on.
Wow, is she watching
how
for the
much it
first
has-
time?
She is. Crazy. It's crazy.
Wow. And Chase, you had a big concert last night.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, it was so much fun. It was
I'm
right
guessing
here.
they were there.
I hope so, yeah. But yeah, it was amazing. It was a great time. And thank you so much for those that came. You guys are amazing. Thank you. Thank you.
And Malarkey, you also have a band. Any updates there?
Yeah, I have a few projects I've been working on. I mean, I have my own solo stuff. If any of you have ever checked out my records, if you haven't, check them out. A lot of it's online.
If you
All of
haven't,
it's
what are
online.
you doing?
What? Yeah. Oh, right. Yes. Exactly.
I was helping you out. Yeah.
But yeah, I got a new record. I will be leaking out. I don't like that word choice, but anyway, I used it already. So at the beginning of next year, and I've got a hardcore band, a metal band, and stuff. Burial Clouds and Shady Side. So check those out. They just dropped this year, so I'm proud of those records. But my solo music took a little brief pause while I focused on those side projects. So thanks to anyone who's checked them out before. Thanks for
Amazing.
giving them a shout.
Of course. I always love it, the word leak. So that's a good, I can't wait for it to come out. That's good. It's good tease, you know?
Thanks.
Yeah. And Trent, we were talking earlier about charity work. I'm getting ready to start my own journey, and I know that you've recently started a charity. Is there anything that you're able to share yet about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we just got our status 501c3, very interesting indeed, which means we're an official charity recognized by the government and the IRS. It's called We Live.
Sorry, We Live?
Relive, R-E-L-I-V-E, to relive one's life. Because, many of you may know or suspected, but from previous times, I was a very, very hard-charging alcoholic, and I still am an alcoholic, therefore, in recovery. My mother died at 46 from it, her mother at 42, and I was meant to be dead at the age of 41, and I had less than 2 weeks to live during the height of COVID. Fun conversation, huh?
It's an important one. I'm glad you're sharing.
But by the grace of this beautiful woman, Madeline, who I owe my heart and my soul to, I love you, Madeline. And she fought to get me into UCLA, a wonderful institution that looked at me with compassion and objectivity and gave me a second chance at life. So here I stand.
Big round of applause.
So,
And do you have a website?
Our charity, basically I spend 7 days a week talking to patients in similar situations, not just with alcoholism and addiction, but mental health issues, because once you receive the gift of life, you've got to work quite hard to take care of it and cherish it. I'm a walking bed and breakfast for the beautiful lady that lives within me. And also the caregivers, and many of you may be caregivers for whatever reason, you know how helpless you feel when someone you love is suffering, and it's a suffocating feeling. So we're there to provide mental health support for all of these people. I do one-on-one counseling, we do group sessions, we have a helpline, we have a fully blown website that can give you every resource you could ever possibly need, and we are there for people in their darkest hour. We're one of those charities that we hope you never need, but if you do, or a friend or a loved one does, please do not hesitate to be in contact. Liver disease is a very, very wide and varied thing, but it's very real. It's a massive cause of death in the U.S. So thank you for letting me.
Yes. And I will definitely be sending people your way and pass along the message, so thank you. What was that? Namesake?
Oh, that's right. We have the same name. That's so bizarre. Her maiden name and now her married name are Trent Ford.
Oh, wow.
Very bizarre.
That's
very bizarre.
amazing. I love that. Jason, good luck. Follow it up, bud. Is this also your first convention?
No, I was here a couple times.
Oh, well, I'm an idiot. This is
No,
our
that's all
first time meeting, really.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
Okay, so
You've been
it's
so
all
kind.
about me, really.
Yeah, no. Can you guys hear me okay? This mic, right?
Yeah.
Do you have a question for me?
I was like, hey, man. Well, I like your coat, number
Oh,
one.
thank you.
Yeah. So the question is, have you been back to were you here in April?
Yes, and it's great. I mean, I love the fans. I love the actors on the shows that are here. I think that they really cared about what they did, you know?
Yeah.
I was only on the originals for about a season and a half, and I got to work with some of the actors that became directors, so I got to be directed by them. And I always feel that's really special because you get to work with somebody who cares about acting and knows acting and actors, and lets you try stuff and kind of go outside the box a little bit, you know?
Was there something that stood out to you about, and you don't have to say names if you don't want to, if you're comfortable, but talking about an actor transitioning into directing and being able to support them, was there a side of someone when they stepped into the director role that you hadn't seen before that excited you, or that you were happy to get to see like a different part of them?
Yeah, let's see. I did an episode of SEAL Team recently where the lead guy on the show was able to direct it, and that was really cool because I don't know, they just whisper in your ear as actors, and they're like, try this. And, I don't know, it's just a little more fun, a little more dangerous. They might let you take a couple more takes, and then try some interesting stuff. So
more connected to you.
Yeah, I suppose they just know what that process is, and they might appreciate what is good work or what is work, So they acknowledge that, So enjoyed that. Joseph Morgan directed an episode that I was in. That was just beautiful as well.
I love that. I love that. Okay, this question is for everyone. Was there ever a scene, or when you were reading the script, were you given a scene where you were surprised, and even as comfortable as you were on the show, kind of went like, oh shit, how am I going to do that? Was there that moment for you ever? And also, how did you handle it? Anyone can jump in.
I mean, I remember reading the scene where I was supposed to kill Evie. And
Kill what?
I killed Evie, who was one of the main. She'd been on the show since the very beginning. I think one of the main wolves, and she was kind of a loved character amongst the characters and the audience, the fans. And I remember reading it and being like, "Oh shit, I'm screwed." So I was like, I'm not gonna.
Were you worried people were gonna hate you?
Yeah, everything, and they did, and as it goes.
But they don't hate you now.
Some people maybe don't, but yeah, thank you. It's like, and most of us maybe have been there when you're a villainous type. But yeah, when you're like, oh shit, I gotta kill this character, and people love this character, everybody's gonna absolutely hate me. How am I gonna do this? But, yeah. Gotta do what you gotta do, right? You just gotta do it. Gotta get to work.
Yeah, it's on the page. Anyone else?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I played kind of Logan Fell was kind of a villainous character, but I think for me it was less the script and the showrunner. His name's Marco Siega. You guys love the show. You
He's
probably
so
already know him.
talented.
He's directed a lot of them. He's fantastic, and halfway through the season, he's like, I'm gonna call you at my office. I'm like, he's like, I got good news and bad news. All right, he's like, the bad news is we're introducing a vampire hunter named Malarkey. I'm like, yeah. He's like, and besides Damon and Stefan, you're the only vampire, so we have to kill you. And I was like, oh.
That sounds like them.
Oh. He's like, but the good news, the whole episode's about you. And I was like, there was the moment where I was like, great, because love being on the show, love other people, but those are the moments.
How
you
was
gotta
it for you? Because I went through this as Lexi, like showing up to work knowing you're gonna die. How was that for you with the other characters on set? Did you find you felt weird, or were you more like kind of?
I mean, no, it's like, you spend this finite time. It's kind of like, to describe it, I think we can all agree, it's kind of like going away to camp together. So you're together and you know that eventually camp is going to end. If you're a bad guy in the show, it's probably going to end sooner than if you're a good guy in the show. So just knowing that, and I get to have so much fun the last episode. I got to shoot Damon. I mean, I'm sure you guys weren't happy about that. But,
I personally love that.
thank you, yes, thank you. But it was such a fun way to go out. Such a fun episode, trying to hunt everybody down and take everybody out with me. So it was a good time.
Yeah, that's great. Was there anything that Trent and Malarkey? Was there a time during the show where someone surprised you, either behind the scenes with an act of kindness, or on camera, acting with you in a scene where you just really felt like someone gave you something you weren't expecting, and you're like, wow, thank you for that. It kind of upped the game.
Well, I did when I first kind of worked with Nina. We didn't get to work together too much, but she surprised me because she's so into doing as much of it as her stunts as she can. And there was a
Badass
scene,
gal right there.
Absolutely, and there was this scene where I was meant to throw her, and we're supposed to sub in the stunt person, and she whispered in my ear, she's like, throw me, actually throw me. And I was like, sure, And so, I'm very trained in stage combat. I trained with the British Guild when I was training at Lambda, so I kind of understand safety to do with that. She didn't know that, but I felt like I approached it in a safe way. But yeah, through her, they were like, thrown by that, and were a bit stressed about it. But she, afterwards we talked to them, and we just kept working on it, and that surprised me.
I've never heard that story. That's amazing.
Sometimes you work, with Hollywood actors who don't want anything to do with any of that shit. Like
their legs are insured. You can't touch them.
Or their hair.
Oh yeah, their hair, of course. Yeah.
But yeah, she surprised me, and she's just really tenacious and really cares about the craft and the project, and that was cool. I remember that. Just remembered it right now. So.
Very cool. You should tell her. That's a good story.
Yeah.
With the exception of the crew themselves, who were remarkable with how accommodating they were, especially hair and makeup. A lot of us had a lot of prosthetics or wigs. They were really, they're your psychiatrists while you're on set. Nina,
That
again,
is a good point, what
Yeah.
you just said. A
They're
lot
your
of people
shrink.
say, yes.
that
Very,
son of a bitch.
Yeah.
What is it? You sure it's not you? It's me. We both know it's me.
You can't spot the diva. You're the diva, right?
I'm just the gimp in the corner. For Nina, with me, I just kind of looked at her at the beginning, and it's like, I'm in love with you, so we're doing this. And she kind of looks at me like, okay. So every time I pick her up, I hold her tight and stuff like that, and she was just really accommodating with that, because I know that I tend to want to kind of look right into the middle of people, even when we're not rolling. Maybe some people are okay with that, some people aren't, and she was very cool with that. And then Daniel Gillies was just his character on set, but then afterwards at dinner we were in Decatur, and I've never seen anybody do the wobble, wobble, wobble better. So
I believe that.
that was
I
fun.
believe that. There was a time we were snowed in and Daniel, Gillies, and I stole trays from the cafeteria and went sliding down ice in the middle of the road. Like, woo! And I don't think we'd ever be able to do that again, but it was quite a moment.
Yeah, to send up his composure is kind of a fun thing to do, and he's always game for it. So
Yes.
anybody who can laugh at themselves has a dear place in my heart.
Definitely. I've been meaning to ask you, what is your necklace?
I get pieces from places I've been. Been wearing it since I was 14, so I'm 44. You take a licking and you lose a few, and you know you go somewhere nice and someone will come running down the street and press one into your hand, and it just is a humility that I sometimes lack to remember that enjoy where you are right now. Keeps me weighted to the ground. Yeah.
I love that. If you guys get a chance, check out his necklace. It's so beautiful.
And now in the day of digital, like everybody's taking pictures, and not to denigrate it, it's like you take yourself out of a moment. And that is a very dangerous thing to do, to be right there, just looking at that beautiful building you traveled all the way around the world to go see, or just see the wind blowing through a tree. That's what you're on this earth to do, not to live vicariously through the image you see on a digital screen. So,
Amen. We're about to turn it over to the audience for questions, so I see you guys are lining up. Okay, perfect. Last question before we do turn it over. We just came out of a strike, thank God. But I was curious if any of you, because we had this time and we weren't allowed to work or talk about work and supporting our guild, was there anything creative that you turned to, or a hobby that maybe you picked up or you'd been wanting to get back to but you didn't have time and now you did, or anything that you found yourself doing that kind of surprised you that you maybe wouldn't have done if we had continued working?
I just finished a manuscript for a children's book, actually. So
I
I was,
love that.
yeah.
Oh my God.
And
Are we allowed to hear the name yet?
the name, it kind of ties in. It's called Not Today AI, and it basically is a book to help remind children that like nothing in the world is going to take place of their imagination. No computer, no ChatGPT, nothing is going to give you the pure, raw honesty of a child, and the blunt honesty of a kid, and just the curiosity. So it's kind of like that.
I love that. I will
Thank
give
you.
people that book. That's
All right,
awesome.
I'm gonna send it out to
Yeah.
all the Vampire Diaries people will throw up.
I love it. Anyone else?
What was it? Sorry, we were talking.
I know, I saw you. During the pandemic too, but no, coming out of the strike, did you find yourself turning to like a hobby or something creative that you wouldn't have normally if we weren't in strike?
I got super reclusive and just had no time for bullshit anymore. I mean, that's essentially my main takeaway. We spend a lot of time with people that don't really give a shit about us, and I think you realize that sometimes, and you trim the hedges, thin the herd, and then you realize you don't need as much as you think you do, and you're not missing out on, life is happening right here in your heart if you let it. And your circle is the most important thing to cultivate. So, I mean, that was one of my biggest takeaways from the pandemic. Still trying to crawl back into society. It's a double-edged sword, but, whatever. Love you.
we're the fun end. We're the fun end, because it's the same for me. I spend a lot of my days talking to people who are, looking death right in the eye, and as everything gets stripped away from you, you remember there's very little in life that is important. And your dignity and those you love is about all you need. So, besides that, I spend a lot of my time painting. Essentially Dungeons and Dragons
Did you
figures.
say painting?
Painting little tiny, yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and then I
You
found
should sell that merch.
they're too precious. And then I've got like I'm a 44-year-old man, and we play dice games with these things. Oh, my troll's gonna vomit on your dwarf. Oh yeah, but you need a 6-up to do that. And yes, but I have a reroll on it. And You know what? There's something kind of quite nice about grown men just being quite innocent like that. And,
I agree.
there's one
I
guy
agree.
who's 320 pounds, built like a brick shit house, and I gifted him a set of dice, and he's like, "Oh, fantastic!" And
And that's
kind
the
of,
win right
that
there.
makes my heart sing.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Chase, Jason.
Yeah. So I think I talked about this yesterday or the day before a little bit. Back in the pandemic, when we had not much to do and we were stuck inside for a while, I moved my entire computer system and my virtual reality thing that I had into the living room. Taylor loved it. She was a super big fan of me being in the living room playing virtual reality all the time. Nothing else to do. So I was doing virtual reality and I was playing this game called Skyrim. For any video game nerds out there, it's a very popular game called Skyrim. So I was playing Skyrim virtual reality. It was pretty good. And then I went online and figured out there's a way you can mod the game, modify. You can download mods and you can change it. So I found these Star Wars mods. And I was like, oh, this is cool. I can play like a Star Wars virtual reality, but they didn't really have a lot. And I was like, God, I really want to like feel like I'm a Jedi. I want to use the Force and have a lightsaber, So I started researching how to create my own mod. And so I did. I had to learn how to code a little bit, papyrus scripting, and I started learning some C++ programming and stuff. And then I started getting really interested in it because it actually started working. I was like, holy shit, like I can actually do this. And that then led me, it was a couple years, right? And then eventually we got to the strike. And again, I did that mod, learned all that for a while on my own free time. And when we finally got to the strike, and it was almost like a second pandemic, I was like, well shit, what can you do? And then I decided, you know what? All that stuff you've been enjoying, maybe you can do even more of that. And I started getting some cybersecurity classes and coding classes at Santa Monica College. So now I'm in school at Santa Monica College.
Amazing. I love that. I love
Just
that.
completely a side hustle, not replacing anything, just adding on, just expanding, adding on, learning, having a good time, using
I
other
think
parts of my
constantly
brain.
learning is so important.
Yeah, just using another part of your brain. It's like it's nice sometimes to switch to some other part of your brain, and use something else for a change. So yeah.
That's cool. I guess noticed that maybe health food could be changed sort of in the United States. I don't know if that's an issue
Oh,
for
yeah.
anybody here.
Oh yeah, I have autoimmune. I understand. Oh,
really? Okay.
yeah.
So I got into gardening. I made an 11-acre mango farm in Florida.
What part of Florida?
It's like in a little south of St. Petersburg in a tropical sort of coastal area.
Yeah, I'm from Florida.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Right on.
yeah. That's so cool.
Sure. Well, yeah, it's cool. They have infinite water there and tons of, fertilizer from animals and stuff like that. So it's kind of a nerd thing. But I went ahead and made a farm for the community there, and I'll be able to send you guys all healthy food.
Wow! I love that. Thank you.
I love mangoes. You can send me plenty of mangoes.
Same favor.
On behalf of all of us, thank you. Wow. Okay, we are turning it over. What's your question?
Hello, my name is Jacqueline, and I want to ask, do you know the purpose on the death of Enzo? Was it for Bonnie, or why did he die?
The question is, what was the purpose of Enzo's death? Was it for
Fuck
Bonnie?
y'all up.
Well, it worked.
Well, here, okay, all right. Let me answer that in a more intelligent way. So I get asked this a lot. A lot of people are obviously angry about that. I back it up in a way because life is not all about happy endings, and I think there's lessons to be had everywhere. And I think the lesson in Enzo's death was that when people in your life pass on, they're not gone. You just have to ask them a question, and they will answer. And the strength that they've given you, you maintain. And I thought it was, in a sense, a beautiful storyline for how to work with grief and how it can potentially empower you. So I thought, in a sense, it was kind of beautiful. And I still was getting paid, so that was fine. But,
That was a beautiful answer. I appreciate that.
Oh,
yeah.
thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for your question.
Thank you.
Also, there's a great book called Signs by Lorland Jackson. It talks about exactly that, how to continue communicating with your loved ones when they're gone and dealing with that grief. So check it out. Hi, what's your question?
Hi, this is for Trent. I would love to hear more about your charity because I actually had a benign liver tumor removed right before the pandemic that could have become cancerous had they not found it. So I really wanted to hear more about your charity and let you talk about that so that we can learn how to donate and support your charity.
Oh, wow. Thank you very much. I wanted to immediately get into the medical of what you got. So the website address is www.wearerelive.org. Kind of like We Are Fox Sports. That was the inspiration.
But way more important.
Wearerelive.org. It's a phoenix is the symbol. Yeah, there's a couple purposes to destigmatize within the medical community and also within kind of family members that have people that deal with alcoholism and addiction issues. The idea that morality has anything to do with this. Innately, we are all born good people. You're beautiful. It doesn't matter what you do in this life to try and take away from that. You will never be able to strip yourself of that innate virtue that you have. We just get lost. We get battered. So we try to encourage a medical institution which is reluctant to look at the idea that spirituality and mental health really have to be symbiotic in order to see any patient, not just the alcohol and addiction, but any patient that goes through trauma. If you go through trauma, you change. How do we embrace that and stay whole? You're still the person you were. You can't, but if you try to go back to what you are, then bad habits begin to form and accumulate. So we really help that as much as we can. We try to encourage feeder hospitals, which are the hospitals that are smaller, that take people to bigger hospitals. We try to encourage them to be the hero in this, and instead of closing the door like one did to me, and they just said, you're a piece of shit and you're going to die, to be the hero. And instead say, you know what, we can't do it, but somebody else might, so we're just going to get you over there. So that's a lot of what we do. We try to just funnel and channel people in the right direction so they can get help. Not everybody makes it, and we try to be there for those as well, no matter what. Once you're in, you're family for life. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. They haven't found any more recurrences since the end of 2020 when they did the MRI. They do MRIs on me every year, so I'm doing well now.
Wonderful.
I have my last recovery MRI next year, so fingers crossed that one does well.
Absolutely, fingers crossed. Yeah.
Keep us updated. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you, Mother.
Thank you.
Hi, just really quick, by the way, Jason, I love Veronica Mars, like obsessed. So my question is for Michael. If Enzo hadn't died, do you think he would have like find a way to turn human and be with Bonnie to grow old?
Yeah, I think he was fed up with being a vampire. I mean, I would be. Who wants to live forever? There's a reason why we have this kind of like extraordinary, brief, abstract chronicle of time that we all live in, I think. When it goes on forever, how would you not be depressed as fuck, man? But yeah, it was that thing of, does he turn her into a vampire so they can live together forever, or does he become a human so they can have, this existence? And I think he would have preferred that, for sure. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, my name's Amber. Trent, thank you so much. That really hits home for me. My question is for Chase and Michael. You guys are musicians. What drove you to go that path? Was it acting first or music first, or has it been together?
I actually did music first for a while. I started playing guitar around like 16, singing and playing. I started singing around 16 and playing guitar around maybe 17, 18. But I remember being in college, I had done the band stuff through high school, got in college, doing the band stuff, and I wasn't quite sure. You had an idea like, I'd love to be a famous musician, rock star, I'd love to do that, you don't really quite know what you're gonna do with your life. But I remember feeling like, oh, maybe I could do something like this, and really, I cared about it, and I put forth effort. And the problem I had was I had some people next to me, some bandmates that just didn't give a shit. You know, they'd show up drunk or wouldn't want to pay for the rehearsal space. And eventually, I just got fed up. I was like, you know what? I just want to try this other thing. And I'd never really done any acting. I hadn't done any theater. I'd done some talent shows, did some Braveheart speeches with a kilt on when I was young. So, you know, I was like, let's try this thing. I remember just walking over to the local community theater, and then I auditioned for Little Shop of Horrors. You know, and from then on, it was just off we went. Then I just didn't stop. And then, I gave music up for a little while, kind of put it aside, and then years later in New York, I lived in New York for about 7 years, I eventually decided to pick it back up. Because again, I think you'll agree, they're totally different forms of expression. They're totally different forms of art. I feel completely different writing music. And even when like playing music and hearing my lyrics being sung back to me, it's a whole nother experience to me.
Would you ever go back to musical theater?
100%. I would love it. Yeah,
Oh, that's awesome.
Rent's probably like one of my favorites. Rent, or I love Once a lot. Once is a big fan of that, but yeah. Michael?
I barely graduated from high school, and me and so many of us, it's an archaic system, you know, and everybody who thinks differently is collateral damage. Anyway, I didn't know what I wanted to do, so I started a punk band, and, you know, I had a mohawk and studded jacket, all
You
that
got a
jazz.
mohawk?
Oh yeah.
I would love to see that.
There's very few pictures because cameras stole my soul, you know, that's what I thought back in the day. Things were weird then. Anyway, I started like punk and hardcore bands and, you know, played out, and that was my first love for music, was punk rock. And, you know, as a shy little misfit, it was the first community I really found where I felt accepted to be who I was among other misfits, and we had a lot of strength together in that. Every community has their problems, but, you know, anyway, I kind of fell into acting when I was a little bit older, you know, 21, something like that, 22, and just fell in love and got into this play. But I brought a guitar with me when I went to drama school. I was writing songs the entire time. I've, you know, written loads of albums worth of material. You know, you've only heard a certain portion of it publicly, you know. But
Would you ever do musical theater?
I have done, you know, I played Elvis in the West End for a year, which was fun. But it's not my people. I love musicals, but we'll keep that to the athletes, you know. I don't know. Not my vibe.
I understand.
I'll do it. You give me a job, but,
Thank you.
you know,
Thank you.
I'm not shooting for that. I like the dark shit.
I'm not surprised. Hi, what's your name?
Hi, my name's Jayla, and this question's for all of you. I was wondering, what was your favorite scene to film and why?
Jason, you take it first.
In the original stuff? Yeah. Probably, I don't know, playing a detective or whatever. Probably the first day on set, you know, with Leah Pipes, and I got to, you know, work with her, and I don't know, sort of just feeling it out, and getting the character down. I think that was sort of like probably the most exciting for me. And then I had some other crazy stuff that wound up happening. He almost kills himself and that sort of stuff. That's just actor kind of stuff. So that's probably it for me on that show.
Leah's great. Yeah. Chris?
I guess I'd have to say that the scene when I'm hunting with Damon, because I mean, as you guys know, I mean, Damon is an entertaining guy, right? So
Damon or Ian?
both. I'm saying my point is Ian
yeah.
as well. So anything you get to really work with him is super fun. So he really likes to play when he's acting. So you feel like you're kind of playing with him as well, and you both kind of have fun, and everything's done with kind of a fun, smart wink of who's gonna when you're battling one person over another. So that was probably one of my favorite scenes of the show.
I guess there's a lot of scenes. Had a lot of fun. A lot of scenes. Hard to choose a favorite. One of the most memorable. It's quite simple. I was doing a scene. We were in this warehouse. It was me and Elijah slash Daniel Gillies, and we were battling all these werewolves that were coming at us. And it was just him and me. It was like an army of them. We were fighting them all. And there was at the end when it cut back to the end of the fight, we're covered in blood, and we just fought. I had this idea, and I told the directors like, hey, can I like do this really badass thing where I'm like ripping this dude's arm off right when the cut starts, and I can just nonchalantly not give a shit, just throw it to the side. And I don't know why I thought that was the most fun, hilarious. I felt so cool. It was just this little
Ripping
prosthetic
people's
arm.
arms off are definitely cool.
And then it became a thing. People actually remembered. It was like, yo, you ripped the arm off. And I was like, that's my idea. But yeah, I really enjoyed that. Like, just kept ripping it, just looking at it, and like, oh, just tossing it away.
Also,
I thought that was hilarious.
like, I just love the show so much because if anyone just walked in off the street hearing like there was an army of werewolves and then I ripped this guy's arm off and it was awesome, and I'm like, yeah, this is the conversations we have on a Sunday at these panels, right? It's great. Yeah, exactly.
I think for me, it was the stuff in the cabin with Kat. Hey.
That's a popular one.
So, okay, it was the right answer. That's
Way
great.
to go, way to go.
No, because look, Kat and I'm so proud of the work we did on that show. We worked our asses off.
Yes,
And,
yes.
thank you.
Yes.
But we wanted to make it as real as possible. And we would get in early and rehearse on the set with nobody else and generate ideas, because in TV everything works so fucking fast. You can get bullied into doing a scene a certain way and then it's over and you're done, right? And we really wanted to rally against that privately. And so we would get in early and rehearse and create these ideas. And everything you saw in our relationship and in that set, you know, in that scenario especially, was a lot of it was stuff that we came up with, you know. And I'm proud of all that work. So yeah, and what I love about it too is it's almost like that whole sequence. It was like its own short film, completely removed from anyone else, and it just felt like we were shooting our own movie out in the woods during that time. And it's one of my more cherished memories from that show.
And I remember too, like, again, we didn't really have scenes together, but I remember watching you two and really having a lot of respect for the work that you were doing. And I talked to you and like what a great actor I think you are. But also with Kat, I remember she was studying with Ivana Chubbuck at the time, and like, you know, on every script she had notes, and it just like I remember watching you all from afar and just seeing the work that you were putting into it. And I think that has a ripple effect always, you know, in terms of everyone raising the bar for each other. And I think that's important too, as you have a beautiful ensemble to keep going. So
Thank you
I
so
remember
much.
that. Yeah.
Oh, appreciate that.
For me, when it started, it was kind of short. It was short in the end as well. So it was like honestly, it was like a bank heist for me. Get in, smash, grab, get the fuck out. So the first thing was like, they all have daylight rings, and I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, yeah, they can piddle around in the daylight. You can't. So how are we gonna get around this? And I just dryly, I was like, Dre. And they're like, huh? Dr. Dre. So they're like, okay, so I got to wear like cool ass Dr. Dre. Shades, black baseball cap, leather gloves, all black, just rip someone's gullet out. And then the other scene, I'm just dicking around, so I'm just by myself, and you know, I love to just be on set. I never go to my trailer, and they got books and stuff everywhere. And I'm just slinging these things around with utmost disrespect because I was very full of myself. And they're like, oh yeah, we'll do that. So I just got this complete like overacting thing of punctuating lines by swinging books at people, and they weren't actually forewarned that would happen. So when I slammed shit down and stuff, they jumped. That worked.
Is there someone in particular's reaction that you remember to that?
Oh yeah, I mean Nina really, because I'm a decent aim, so I could get him within about 4 or 5 inches of her, and just like, and she's like, easy now, and I'm like,
She's like, I'll let someone flip me, but I don't want a book to hang.
no, yeah, I was just like, look, don't, because my patience at the time would wear thin. So,
Wow.
I tend to go there. You know, I have a weird oscillation between. I can't. It's exhausting to be method the whole time, but I find it very easy to switch in. And when I switch in, there's just I'm not there to fuck around. You know, we work bloody hard, and I really respect the crew and what they've got to achieve. So we damn well better get it done in a few takes so we can turn around and get everybody's coverage. Just as an actor as well, it's more important to me to give good lines so when I'm off camera to feed that to people than it is for me to perform. If I do that, then I'm going to get great stuff back. It's always a privilege.
And just to kind of translate for anyone who may not know, when you're talking about coverage, the way that a scene works, especially with more than one actor in the scene, it takes a lot of time because you have to shoot that person's coverage, filming them, and you have to turn around and shoot the other person's coverage. And so a lot of, what he's saying is you give as much when you're not on camera as when you are. And,
I'm
and
burning
a lot of
about
people
it.
don't do that. A lot of some actors don't even stay for that. And you have
My
to
my first movie I ever did, you can figure it out that way because I won't say the name. This person left, and I was left doing the most important scenes to a tennis ball on a stick.
Well, see, yeah, that's what I was talking about. It happens all the time.
And so I refuse to ever give that to an actor. I'll give you everything I've got.
You gotta walk off next time and say, hey, bring your second AD. I want him to direct. I want your camera fucking guy, him to step down, the other guy to come up, if that's gonna happen. Otherwise, I'm out. Fuck that. Fuck you, Tom Cruise.
And we just went viral.
I love
Thank
you,
you for
Tom.
your question. Who's next? Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you doing? How you doing? So this is for Trent specifically, but anyone could answer if you want, based on your experience. So Trent, The West Wing was and is still a very important part of my life. How was your experience on that show, working with that cast, and how did you grow from that?
Thank you very much. That is a perfect segue to what we're talking about with acting, because that cast was incredible.
Did you work with Richard Schiff?
Oh God, did I?
I love him. He's
And
such
he didn't
a
want me to, but
curmudgeon.
then I was like, I'm gonna sit near me until I get a smile out of you, kind of thing. No,
I know.
He was actually just on that. He came in once to read for a Bond villain, and I was the guy reading Bond for the cut, and he walks in and he's like, you gotta be shitting me. He just walked out, and I'm like, you're gonna have to do it.
I believe it.
The West Wing, it was such a privilege. I mean, because Sorkin and whatever, they would crank these things out. I thought it was normal because 3 days after shooting the stuff, it would be on TV because it was so far behind, and they were so good they did reruns. But the cast were just so generous because against, like, I did an ensemble called Gosford Park, which is like the who's who of British film. They were just fighting tooth and nail for screen time. Again, the West Wing guys were just so generous with each other, and they were quick, and they would make fun of each other if you got it in more than 2 takes. So it was a privilege, especially to be an asshole Frenchman criticizing American foreign policy. That was fun.
Yeah, that sounds like a good time.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Next question. Hi. You look so cute. Tell me who's number 17. I should know this. Well, whoops. I guess we're not best friends after all.
My name's Joe. My question is, who's your favorite character in the show and why?
Well, you stumped him.
I'm probably torn between Elijah or Kai Parker. I love Kai because of his crazy, his whole thing. What Chris Wood brought was great. I liked his whole thing. But then, I love Elijah too, like his character. Like, I remember Elijah's intro was probably one of the most badass intros to a character. Is when he walked up and they were inside the building and they didn't have daylight rings or whatever. He was outside and he reached down and changed 100 and got all the change, and he took the change and threw it at the window like bullets, and it broke all the glass, and then the sun hit them. And I thought that was he was just such a badass walking and doing that.
I like Klaus. I love the way.
I love
Me
the way
too.
he talks. It's very specific.
You do that very well.
We used to get it.
Okay, we have time for one more. Anyone else before we move on from that one?
Split the difference in St. Klaus and Elijah.
Oh, we love that. We love that. Thank you. That was a great question. We have time for one more.
Hi, my name is Andrea, and in your mind, do you think your character had any regrets?
Most definitely, yes. Oh my god. Oh my god, yeah. Yes.
He's leaving it there. Do you want to say regrets and what are they? Okay, yeah.
I mean, I think he very much felt horrible about the bombings and stuff. He didn't intend to kill a lot of the innocent people like that, even though he smothered Evie with a pillow. That was quite intentional. I think he had the right kind of idea and what he wanted, but the way he went about it was very, 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 very bad. And I think he realized that not long after the fact. And I think he started trying to figure out how to backtrack, but it was quite difficult once you murder a few folks. So.
I honestly don't think my character did. I mean, after death, that's a different thing. Like, I would regret not turning around, so he didn't have his heart ripped out, obviously.
That's fair.
But, in the lead up to his life, I feel like I'm kind of the same. Everything in my life has happened already, and it's like a chessboard. You just have to work on the next move, and I think that's very much how Enzo thought all the time.
I'd say Logan definitely had regrets. I mean, he wasn't obviously a great guy, but he's kind of in the pursuit for success. He's the kind of person that would, step on someone's back to go get what he wanted and use it under the false guise of justice and trying to do it right. But let's be honest, he was a very self-involved person, not afraid to kind of screw over Jenna or anyone to get in the way of his fame and fortune and to be that guy. So a lot.
Yeah. Well, it's all room for the spin-off,
I mean, I think.
Yeah, I'm still gonna find out about that. You know that, right? I'm so curious. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I mean, just quite simply to not beg to be pardoned. You don't need to beg for your existence ever, and to, in that sense, yeah, to face mortality and fear right in the eye. If you try and sail around these things that consume you, you're going to take a pounding. So if you punch right through the middle of fear, then you generally come out on the other side in one shape or form.
Thank you. Thank you for your question.
Love you guys, man.
Yes!
Thank you so much.
Yes! Thank you, gentlemen. You're all amazing. Thank you for all of your time and beautiful answers today. And thank you to all of you.